Notice how I'm some like voice.
I just mean it. I think that you have an ability to see things clearly and that you are trying to problem solve and that you can't always do what is needed, but that you really are just an effective person, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, me too.
And I do think we're gonna, because I already asked the state liaison to come and talk with us because the inspectors have some really important feedback too. Because again, we're ahead of the game on this than they are. We've already figured out how to find out the true answer to things without wasting a bunch of time. And so I'm hoping it gets better. But again,
they seem real reasonable, frankly.
They
seem like they're...
It's exactly the same as your contract. The device, like, they're almost verbatim.
What are those? Community, farmer market work we do, the European grape, moth worms. I feel like we have, like, I'd guess, like 10.
10. Maybe
even more. We have a lot.
Yeah, maybe
a lot. It's like half our revenue.
Are not a compliance or something that is like, oh, I need to have this somewhere. They can correct it and then still move forward, or is it like, oh, you got a ding, you can't get through life?
Like I said, our direction from the state is to use the inspections as a teaching tool.
Teach people what to do.
And part of what you get is giant compliance packs that the state puts together that we tend to email to people instead of getting there, because they also get how this whole local hover state, and I think we most of it, they're out. Like it is, regardless of like the thing, we're gonna make them. So they're trying to get us to help.
So I have nothing in the morning.
But it's like, no, and I've also talked to them like, you guys need to do some outreach.
Yeah.
Really, people don't understand it.
I can get started, so we can get out of here at 4:30. So this is the state license requirements. On the phone, please.
This is Jen Procacci.
Casey and Jen. Okay, welcome. We'll tell you who's in the room. We'll start with me. Carmel?
Stuart Marcus.
Hannah Nelson. Karen Myers. Corinne Hall.
Siobhan Holmes.
Marvin Lewis. Ron Edwards.
Cecilia?
Raylan Hunt. Amanda Walter.
Okay. So before we start, I'm going to have Sarah tell you what the Track and Trace Working Group decided and what they will be presenting to the board, and what the Building Requirements Group decided and what they will be presenting to the board.
So each group has their competence and the recommendations, and the one thing that we're trying to include on every single one of the working groups is the recommendation that 4 people from the working group participate on the ad hoc. So that's consistent. And in addition to that, the building one, so the Track and Trace one had 1 system, fees low, participation on the ad hoc. The building group had participation on the ad hoc, recommendation regarding F1 occupancies, a recommendation for 1 supervisor to participate in each working group, and the FAQ. So that's the overview from the 2 before.
Okay, great. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with this one. Do you want to, do we want to do, well, I guess we should do roll. I mean.
Oh, I think Amanda has it.
All right, you've got that. Okay, thank you. So the pilot program, did you want to?
Well, we just give a little brief update. I'll start and then shoot it over to Siobhan. So the CDFA, like all the other mini ag programs, contracted with us to fulfill a certain number of inspections for them. And so county inspectors will go out, and then they'll either identify that they're here for a state county inspection with our own things we're looking for, or if they're here on behalf of the state doing an inspection. And then I'll let kind of Siobhan fill us in on some of the stuff that we talked about before.
So,
anyway,
how many inspection contract covers?
Good.
I'm sorry, the attendance says Julia, so I'm not really sure what the group wants to hear from me.
Tell us about the Ag Pilot Program.
Essentially, right now, if you are a licensed cultivator and you are about to, and you need your pre-permit site inspection, or temporary licensed cultivator, the ag inspector, when scheduling your pre-permit site inspection, will also inform you that they will conduct an inspection for temporary state license after the pre-permit has concluded, and we are partnering with the state to develop a good system to do so.
And actually, I think what it is if you have a temporary state license, but you are needing a state inspection and your annual to be issued in compliance with your temporary.
I can't speak to that because we are not told specifically to go to a site to do the inspection so that a person can get their annual.
I believe just as finance, they say these are the people you're doing.
Correct.
Oh, they do.
Mm-hmm.
Give us several to choose from in order to give us the ability to geographically attack the whole project. Because if you have an inspector doing pre-sites in Covelo, it's a dumb idea to send them to Casper just to do one of the state inspections. So I think that there are some of Julia's concerns, the email that she sent out where she was quoting Tabitha Chavez in the Enforcement Division. I would suggest that if anyone else has specific concerns, I don't think that she included Tabitha's email, but if you would like to send them directly to me, I would be more than happy to send your concerns to the state.
I just want to say to that, because Julie and I communicated, I know she's ill or injured or something. I know her concern, and I share it if it's valid, that there would be discrepancies between the state requirements and the county's ordinance, and that when those discrepancies occur, the state will always supersede the county's ordinance, and that if that is the case, what we're doing on the county ordinance or have been doing will be rendered for naught. If it's not the case, we need that to somehow be clarified.
I believe that, yes, I
can say if we're left, if the county's less restrictive on something. But if the county's more restrictive, I don't think the state can.
and it's all what's
True.
No.
But there are differences, period.
There are differences, but differences don't necessarily have to live in conflict. Most state regulations, states always set bare minimum regulations. So you have to either, you can't, regulate less in the state, but there will be situations where we will have different regulations. They may not be in contrary to the state. We can have them. So it's like you just have more things to comply with.
Right.
I think that
How easily you say that.
well, and I think this definitely speaks to what are the requirements for your state license. We've all been spending quite a bit of focusing on our law for and what are the requirements for 10A17, and now it's time to look at the next level, which would be your annual license, and those regulations are not the same as 10A17.
Yeah, and I know that one of the items that the ad hoc is looking at and has asked my assistance on is to go through and identify some key areas in 10A17 that differ from the state that would be a good idea to match the state.
And just talking about the cost and people wanting to make it one fee or basically give us a price break or something with our application. In a sense now knowing that the state's requiring something completely different for you to look at in checklist than the county, which means you're spending more time when you're out in the field, so therefore we really can't be asking for a fee reduction. It makes sense.
And I don't believe we have enough hard data to determine how long it's really taking just to do the state inspection. We are recognizing that the inspections are taking longer, period, right now.
And the way ag departments are funded, we're never fully funded for any program we implement for the state. It's a percentage. There's also an MOE requirement, so a maintenance of effort. The has to spend X amount of general fund dollars per year to be eligible for money from CDFA. So that's just out there. So all the programs we do for CDFA, it's not full cost recovery. So we eat a bit of that as part of our MOE with the state.
Yeah, if you did the inspection and it was identical, then it makes sense to maybe count it.
And maybe some point down the road, they might be.
Yeah.
That's correct. I mean, they could meet at some point. But not, like us, it's going to take time to figure all that out. And, you know, your checkbooks you'll know more about.
And you become more,
Doing inspections, the more you've done, the more you know what you need to look for.
and as you go, like our other programs, they get more standard over time. You know exactly how many hours you need, how many staff you need, how many months it will take you to do, and how much you're getting. It becomes very regular, and I think long term we'll get there.
Is it possible to share some of the information and the wisdom that's being acquired with respect to the issue that you see coming up on the website or some form or another? Because I think that the more applicants and participants are informed as to what issues they should be preparing for or look out for that all of a sudden came up that nobody thought of or whatever, the more it will help everybody be more efficient.
Do you mean as far as for your state or your county?
Oh, whatever you are able to do in terms of...
I think they can, but I think you need to give them some time to, I did
Some
from the
trend
beginning.
thing.
I know, that's why I'm bringing this up, because I think that one of my issues in the past has been just in general about better website stuff and everything like that, and this is just one of the subtopics that would be really useful and probably very helpful in the end for the ag inspectors as well, if people are educated just in the field, but, you know, if they can go on the website and read about stuff.
I would say two things to that. With the state instance, I'm less inclined to move in the direction given I think we've only completed.
Yeah, there's no experience with it yet.
Yeah, and we would have to look into what it is they would want,
But it might be more they provide materials and that's pretty common in other areas.
You don't normally advertise on behalf of the state.
Again, just talking about,
I agree.
Yeah.
On the list, it's on Herrender's list to completely redo the whole entire ag page, including cannabis, all ag-related activities. That's on the top of his list. And I believe Laura in the office is prioritizing that along with a lot of the back work.
right.
They're
So that's
completing.
why I'm
It's on the
bringing
list.
this up specifically because I've actually talked to Harry about it, and I thought that rather than deal with him about the minutia, it makes sense to talk to the person who's coordinating those efforts and say, hey, if you could talk to him about ways that as you're redesigning the website, that'd be helpful. And this goes across any of the issues.
I agree.
I think we can, that is in motion, better info on the website. Specific to the contracts, I think we need some time. But that, generally speaking, the new administrative services manager has the bandwidth and the experience to do so, and she's basically on her tippy toes. The other thing is organizing a transitional period.
And they're working on closing out this year's required report. So I think in the next few months we'll see an overhaul.
But that's exactly why I'm bringing it up now, so that it can be planned.
More info.
And, you know, I think that communication helps people become more.
In the application workshops that are
happening,
is the state inspection scenario discussed so that people attending those workshops will also know who may not know?
No, they are not. And because the application, those workshops are specific to 10A17, we haven't tried to muddy the waters with that. We are not representatives of the state. We have a contract with them to execute this checklist. So when it comes to the outreach that I'm hearing people interested in, and, you know, just more access to the state, that's difficult for the ag department to facilitate. What it sounds to me is like and do a little bit more work, and so I think I can get that message back to them from as a participant in the working groups, because it's happened in all of them. So I think that's really the takeaway. We, the community, would like to see them come and do the groundwork. It sounds like
or at least have a work, you know, an informational session or something, or a videotaped informational session, or whatever.
I understand.
I'm from the state, and here's what I'm expecting.
Specifically, though, state regs, contracts, these temporary inspections, the expectations, this kind of, I just want to make sure I'm getting this right, because I'm going to go move forward. So is that what?
Well, I mean, there's all kinds of other issues, but I think that for purposes of
Yeah.
some topic.
Yeah, take the regulations part out. I'm more speaking to the inspection.
Yeah.
Okay. I will bring in.
Okay, let's move on. The next one is generators, and this is something we're going to bring up to the ad hoc. Is that right?
It was Stuart's side, and we wanted to talk about.
Stuart?
You can read right out of this if you need to.
Uh-huh.
So there are two issues, solar systems. I believe that there's a serious issue for our county because we're giving licenses smaller than what the state is doing, is up to an acre, and they're requiring in the long term that generators be larger than 50 horsepower. They're going to be used for production facilities, which is great for an acre indoor greenhouse, but is extremely inefficient ecologically, and that we should make comments to the state to say that I believe that rule comes from the air quality because there's a regulation change. But for cannabis, small growers, we need to have the ability to have smaller, more energy efficient generators for smaller projects and not be restricted by that. And then the other side of that has to do with the local ordinance, where originally, I know that John, a lot of people think that generators, because of all the spills and all the things that have happened from illegal grows, but actually generators are very efficient use of electricity because it's local. Use it when you need it, and then you turn it off, and there's not long transmission lines coming from coal-burning power plants or nuclear power plants, or even ecological sources of energy are limited. So when you have a multi-light facility, I think this really needs to be explained to the people, the decision makers, that actually generators can be very, very ecological because it allows you to have crops at different times of year, for the most part, using the sun, the natural sun. You use light when the sun is gone, when it's not there, unless you happen to have hydroelectric or something like that, which is very rare. The storage problem is not fully solved. And really on top of that, and to have large lights for just 2 or 3 hours that are needed at night, we need to have a little bit more time for this to be implemented in our county. And I'm absolutely certain of this. We're off the grid. We run a retreat center. We have guests. I'm really familiar with the power requirements and how it all operates. And I think that I'm actually working right now with trying to get light tunnels using sun to do indoor growing with almost no electricity, but when there's no sun, storing power in batteries is a weak link. And I think that we need to educate the decision makers that multi-light is the wave of the future for our county. It's not going to work only with outdoor because it all comes at once. And you can't produce during the year to have a consistent growth. Multi-light's very critical. That's going to be extremely difficult to do fully off the grid with alternative power.
When I read the regs on page 34 and 35, my interpretation was that you can have the 50 horsepower or greater, but you have to demonstrate compliance.
What section?
It's section 8306, the generator requirements, section A, it's on page 34. And it goes
Looking at the proposed regs or
the
the
proposed,
current emergency?
no, the proposed regs moving forward. And on page 35, it says that if you use a generator that's
306 is right here.
rated below the 50 horsepower, you have to comply with these requirements, section 1 and 2. And then under 2, it says either A or B, and 1 speaks to a diesel particulate filter requirement, and then part B speaks to an engine requirement. I did look that up under Title 13, and it didn't really make sense to me at all. It was like, I get it. So, I don't know, I just think that it's not actually saying that you can't use a generator that's...
You can use it, but for emergency, low
It says low use,
use emergency.
as emergency or low use. They
Yes.
don't want you to just use solely a generator for your power.
But you can if it's over 50 horsepower. No,
Okay, but here would be, if there's something in this that we don't like, then we would want to propose it during this comment period. 'cause
And they're giving till
Hannah's bringing up the point that this is low use, and I'm going to make the statement in my gut feeling, because I haven't looked it up yet, but I believe that low use is going to be much, much less than what we're going to need to do what we want to do.
Yeah, what's the state defining in low use? There's no other language in here that says...
Basically saying it's for emergency use, but it's not to be used every night for 2 hours, for example, especially if it's cloudy in the wintertime. When the sun goes down at 5 o'clock, you're not going to have a lot of storage time. You're going to need to add a little bit of time to that. It's going to be really, really difficult for off-grid
Yeah.
people. And I know the tech, I know all about that.
But they are giving us till 2023 to us out.
Well, I don't think we want to wait till...
I don't think we do either, but at least it's not immediate.
It's a very, very, smaller growers, it's a disaster.
Okay, Hannah.
Can I suggest a process issue, and that is that I think that this is a really important issue that does need to be addressed, so long as you look up all of the regulations and make sure you understand all the ins and outs of it, and then propose specific alternate language, and that we, as a group here, figure out how we're going to address the comment period and how those comments are going to be put together and brought to the board. And I think that that might be a later agenda item, but I'm not really seeing it here.
I could go into that if we want to.
So I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think that the place for it is in the context of a more productive, this is what it says, this is the proposal, and that might be a subcommittee that works on that.
All right, so, the good stuff,
We
the
only
letter.
have so much time because we're within that 45-day period.
Yes.
And this is somewhat technical. Yeah, that's why I'm bringing it up. I just want...
Anybody in the room disagrees that it's important.
I think people are fully aware what's going to hit rural people off the grid until it happens. And then they come in and say, this is not air quality. There's different tiers on generators now. And the fourth tier, there's problems with them because they're so air quality oriented, they're very inefficient, they got a problem. That's what they're putting here. And they're
Okay,
very-
let's move past generators in the
Come up with
interest of time.
specific recommendations in relation to the regulations that are being proposed, and only in reference to looking up all of their definitions. And I think it would be very valuable, especially with your expertise, if you could look into each of that and come up with very specific recommendations. We appreciate it, but, you know.
The problem, the change, and what it would do.
The section number, the alternate, the problem, and the alternate language.
Listen, I managed to get our annual license application in at 11:58 p.m. last night, and the deadline was at midnight.
You did great.
So I'm just saying
Okay,
that
we're going to
Stuart's
move
bandwidth
on.
is
I think you all have come up with a good recommendation for Stuart. So micro-business?
Micro-business, it's not the ad hoc because ad hoc's only doing cultivation. So micro-business,
Wait, I thought the ad hoc was doing anything having to do with the ordinance.
cultivation ordinance.
Oh.
So this does not include cannabis facilities, business
Yep.
license, or associated planning, zoning code. So this is 2017 and 2022. 2-4.
So I have a technical question because this is the state requirement. Seems like micro-business topic is
Twofold.
twofold, but maybe even more.
State regulation and then our regulation.
And that it cuts across multiple departments as well. And so I wonder, I hate to suggest this, but perhaps it is maybe it fits into the next one.
So there's two
proposal, which is
working groups
non-cultivation.
on the list that have not been done. Transferability and non-cultivation. Non-cultivation is anything but cultivation. So if you want to address micro-business changes specific to the county ordinance, I think that's where you go. If you want to address recommendations of changes the state should make for micro-businesses at a state level, like multiple premises or, whatever you may want to do, that would be here.
Right. And so again.
And I think
with respect to the
tasting rooms would also fall into that non-cultivation.
And so with respect to process for this meeting, since we are already several weeks into the comment period and we have to come up with work product, that if we can focus on the work product that has to come up with that are specific to the state comments in whatever topic, all of these topics, that would be helpful.
Agree.
So in the comments that were going around the last couple of days, I believe it was you, I could be incorrect about this, somebody said that this wouldn't be as much of a county thing for the ad hoc unless we were trying to convince them to say that every property that's available that can do cultivation can also have a micro business. And I believe that really is the best way to look at it in the future. So I think most of the group did when we were discussing it. They said that, I know that idea actually did come up. That's a hard.
So all of the stuff for micro-businesses is in the other ordinance about accessory uses to cultivation. That's all it's in the other ordinance.
So the problem is that there are plenty of cultivation properties that don't fall into cottage industry or.
Yeah. And I agree with Hannah as I think we need to focus today on comments regarding micro-businesses for the state regulations. See how it goes. We're closing a group. There's 2 committees left. They choose not to do one, then there's the other one. I think there's a path forward for micro-businesses, and now that we're closing some of these out, we get that non-cultivation up and running. That can be really what spurs more changes, and there's not an ad hoc there's no ad hoc for non-cultivation right now.
So it would be included, if we have a new working group, for all non-cultivation activities, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's tasting rooms, whether it's a micro-business that includes whatever activities, that we can address these local issues in that new working group if it's popping up. However, I know that we're going to overlap with some of our local ordinance stuff because it is directly related to whether or not you have a cultivation site. The rules are slightly different from a planning perspective. So
we can feed that information to in the board, that these are differences between the state and the county that you should maybe consider looking at becoming more in line.
Because micro-business is such a, it's not complex, but it is, and there's so many departments within it, maybe we should have, instead of the transferability working group, since we know that's not happening, maybe we should have a designated micro-business working group.
That's a huge, yeah.
But instead of putting it in the non-cultivation working group, because, I don't know. That's my, that would be.
We didn't approve the list of 8. So all I can say is you can make that recommendation to the board that you want to change a working group, but that's the original 8 from the item. And so they're going to see the list of, we had these 8, we've done these 6, these are remaining.
But 2 comments. One is, with respect to that was a long time ago.
It was.
We know a lot more now. And so I think that altering from those original recommendations is not completely out of line. But to answer your question, the only reason why I would suggest that it does get included is because many of the issues that are, for let's say, just one part of a micro-business, that somebody isn't wanting a whole micro-business license for, are going to be the same issue. So if you're just applying for manufacturing as an for use to cultivation, it's going to be the same kind of issues.
Gotcha.
And so it kind of feels like it should be, especially if we're wanting staff from different departments in there, which I think is going to be critical, that it makes sense. I'm not set on this, but that's my thought.
If you're gonna make recommendations to open up an ordinance and change it, you might as well do it all at once. Because then you're coming back and, just amending it for microbusiness and coming back 3 months later and amending it for billing. Rather look at it holistically and make your recommendations. It's less work in the long run.
Okay, we've got a date of August 21st to present to the board things we want in a letter.
So are we ready to move on to the process for comments?
I would like to know what the process is, and if that meeting is the 21st, then how far before that does this group have to have recommendations prepared?
Okay. So I'll be the one coordinating the agenda item to go forward to the board. The next available board meeting to bring a letter forward before the 45-day period ends is August 22nd, which means we publish August 16th.
You're talking about the board?
Yeah, we publish August 16th. The agenda will go out. So we would need the letter no later than August 13th, ideally August 12th. And what I'd like to do, too, is give a copy to ad hoc as well ahead of time, so they're informed that this is going forward. And that way, I was planning on taking the comments and reviewing that and looking at their ad hoc and kind of saying, these are definitely big things that I think the county can, because what happened last time is there was this really long letter, and I would say the board members were agreed with about 50%, and they said, yeah, we're good to go with 50%, stick in a letter, and on the ones that we aren't so hot about, we'll send our working group with a cover letter from the county saying, we have these working groups, blah, 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 blah. So I'm anticipating it'll be similar to that. So kind of reviewing it ahead of time with the ad hoc and myself to identify, the ones that we can say 100% the board supports, and then that discussion on, are there any other ones to go in? Because that's how it went last time. But essentially, we need a recommendation from the working group no later than close of business on August 13th.
So my concern this time, which is radically different than the last time, is that these are the permanent regulations, and last time we were balancing getting into very specific minutia versus things that are handleable to the board. And I'm just going to raise that concern because we have to get into the minutia this time. Because this is it. This is our bite at the apple. And so I don't know what staff's suggestion is, how to still balance that bandwidth versus the need to get into minutia. But if any work can be done, and maybe because there's an ad hoc with people following it more carefully, it will help that. But I just don't want anybody getting annoyed that we're getting into tiny details.
My suggestion would be get your recommendations as soon as possible. If you could get, you know what I mean?
Just email it.
Obviously the 13th later, but if you can get it to us 8th or 9th. And then too, if there's
Tuesday or Wednesday?
And if there's ones that are really big, because they're not going to support every single one of them, but we know that there's some really big ticket items that the county needs to take action on. So if there's really, really big ones that are like, I want to make sure the ad hoc and the board supports or whatever, please flag those. But the only thing I can say is if you wait till the 13th to submit it, that gives very little time for the ad hoc to review it. And I know the last time we did it, it was like me and John till real late at night, after we got it, because we had maybe 48 hours to turn around. So here we are, reading all of the working group kind of thing, okay, yeah, this is, and with our ledge platform, yeah, we support this. So obviously, it's a short time period, but the sooner the better.
What kind of process are we going to have around this right now? Because you guys need time to even formally take everyone's comments and put them into a document. We're not going to have another meeting.
I think that I would suggest doing something like we did last time is a subcommittee or something.
Just break off and...
Because I know that we have a tight timeline, and it's one of those things where we're going to get it sometime between now and the 13th, and we have to do a quick turnaround and process it. And we're not...
There's really a lot more to do in the non-conservation, so CDPH as well as ECC and CDFA. So there's,
Yeah.
Yeah. ECC, 106 pages.
Yep.
Well, I think we should just try to organize ourselves right now in this next moment to subcommittee and work on it independently outside of this, because we're not going to.
We should split into 3 subcommittees.
Yeah.
I think we should have a person responsible for each agency who is most familiar with the regs already at agency, so that there's somebody CDFA, there's somebody BBC, there's somebody public health, if we have that, but I don't think we have that in our group.
I don't know if we have any manufacturers.
People are willing to take it on. I mean, I would like to do more research into non-cultivation license diets, so I'd be glad to be on that committee at the very least.
But see, you're here, that's what I'm saying, but do we have somebody for public health issues, edibles and all that stuff?
Wouldn't that fall under that?
Well, it does, but then there's plenty of,
Well, maybe we could identify the different elements of each group, and I could look towards forming that committee with people that aren't here.
But we're not looking for a committee, correct?
I'm just whatever.
Or just like somewhere to direct the
Input.
emails.
And there's,
Everyone can.
yeah, you want your groups for input, and there's a lot of things that I don't aren't a big deal for the county, but the county's less vested in, like,
Yeah.
because it doesn't directly affect us, it affects people in our community, their business owners. So it's your opportunity to bring to light things that you want them to support and advocate for you, because a lot of the regulations aren't going to directly impact the county. Actually, it will not impact us at all. Cultivation is really the only one that has the most overlap with how certain definitions, but it's the board, when you look at the priorities of the board and going through like this long list of regulations, they're not as invested in making comments in all of these things.
They ought to be, because this is going to be the downfall of the industry here if it doesn't,
if it's not allowed.
It's true, and then, but we also have a million crises going on right now.
Yes, we do.
So, you know, this is our one shot.
I think we should just focus on.
Well, you know, I want to, I think I'm going to support what Sarah's saying. I agree also with you, Hannah, that, this is the crux of the industry, and so we should be focused on that. I'm going to tell you right now that, things with the fires are not getting any better. I know it's going to happen here. So, I was sitting here thinking, last year we just stopped these committees, just bailed.
Surprised we met today.
And we are doing everything we can. You still see me at this table. I will be at this table as long as I can, but, these fires are, if they overtake us, which they very well can, they're going to overtake the board and all the priorities with the board too. So I would say you guys decide on your subgroups now. Let's get this stuff together and let's work as quickly as we can. And I would follow Sarah's lead because she's got her finger on the pulse with the ad hoc. And the ad hoc will be instrumental in anything we do.
There's also a great resource on the Facebook page for the state requirements. There's already like a group forming for all of the input for the VCC, the cultivation, and they're putting it into a Google Doc. I forget the, California state regulations. So we could be pulling from that to create our, why reinvent the wheel? So I think we should just, I'll volunteer to help and be on cultivation or whatever. I was planning to spend this whole weekend highlighting. So, anyone else want to volunteer to?
I'll work with that from the nursery.
I can be cultivation also.
Okay. We can be emailing and just get stuff to you by like the 10th?
Yeah, the 13th is the latest. The earlier the better. Honestly, I'm hoping that I'll be able to meet with the ad hoc end of next week. So, like I said before, I think it's instrumental because that's what happened last time. It was one supervisor, I think there actually maybe been two supervisors, that took the time to read through all of the comments and work directly with me and say, we want to see this in the letter, we want to see this in the letter. And that's really beneficial without having to go in blind and say, here, this is...
Yeah.
So it was beneficial to have it ahead of time to work with the supervisors and bringing it forward for buy-in. Because a lot of them aren't really invested in reading the comment letter.
Right.
Like,
Is there a format that you want comments sent to you? Do you want like the section from the state reg and a blah, 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 blah? Would you like some consistency in that?
definitely consistency between sets of regulations, so all of Bureau together, all of CFA together, all of California Department of Public Health together. It would be easier if you kind of go in sequence. Yeah, in sequence would be.
Hey, loop me in on the emails, please.
Casey?
Do you know if there are specific subjects that we should focus on in getting support for them? Like, are they gravitating towards one thing more so than the other? Because you're basically the primary contact right now, so if there's a way to make this list prioritized and make it so that we can put as much as that we know we're not going to get to out there to them, I think it would be helpful given what you're saying, because the goal is to get it out there. At least we take issue here. If it doesn't all end up in the letter, because it would be nice to give them some direction if they're going to be working offline without the rest of the group.
So I have already done my first pass at the CDFA, and I went section by section, and I have 6 pages of stuff. I haven't gotten to finalize my final form, and I plan to do that with the manufacturing as well as the EPC. And I think that if we can articulate a lead person for each set of regulations, but then other people be involved in the email chain.
Absolutely.
But a lead person, so one for CDFA, one for BCC, one for manufacturing. I am not willing to be a lead person, but I'm very interested in being in on the email chain, and I am very happy to share the work that I do on my own anyway. But I'm not willing to take primary responsibility of coordinating all those comments and stuff like that. But I promise I will immediately share everything that I do.
Okay.
I think it's a good idea having a lead for each one, because then if each one person will just send over the different sections.
And
then it's not as overwhelming to have one person responsible for all.
And I'm going to just request, we found that this is effective and it will be more efficient for the lead person, is if everybody sticks to the same format of section number, problem, and proposed solution or alternate language. And if you're going to comment at all, it is not helpful to the person who's coordinating all these comments if you're not following that format.
One more time, section number proposed.
Section number, because remember, there's different things, and then problem, and then solution/proposed.
Really a picture here, the baby and the dog.
This is a lead one.
So cute.
Yeah, we should really put that
Can we
up
put
on the
on Facebook?
screen when we do
like working group meetings today. Babies,
That's
dogs,
right. We
and
should have
people all
been taking pictures
welcome.
all along of these working groups.
No, but this is really special.
All right.
I'm willing to do whatever needs to be done. I have time on my hands, so, I mean.
You guys wanna, yeah, you have a new baby. I don't know.
Got time on her hands.
In between naps with the.
As long as there's no fire, for God's sake.
Yeah, or be part of that team.
Why don't you coordinate BCC? Why don't you coordinate
CFA.
CDFA? And anybody going for CDPH, please, you're going once, going twice, we have a problem here.
It's interesting that people that are going for those license tags aren't in this room.
Is the PH to manufacturing?
Yes.
Look at.
Well,
It's manufacturing,
Yes.
and we have to include anybody.
I am just dealing with evacuation, but I am trying to get those permits in for us.
We got two people on the phone,
I
too.
can try to help.
Casey.
It would be to my advantage. It's a very rough week for me, but I will.
You're evacuated?
I evacuated, yes.
Doing,
I'm now not under a mandatory evacuation as of 4 hours.
doing edible. And who's actually with,
There's a lot
They don't show up.
of people who are, want to apply for accessory use
Yeah.
of their cultivation site to do manufacturing. And even ice water hash is included in that. So it doesn't have to be some sophisticated
No, it could be
thing. Even the low-tech stuff, you need a manufacturing license. So it is incumbent upon anybody who wants, the only things that are not manufacturing that are in just the cultivation are pre-rolls and kief. Kief is considered non-manufactured cannabis product. Everything else.
Explain Keith, what's Keith?
Is the trichomes that are falling off as you're processing, and
It's powder.
basically shake, except that it actually is more crystallized than that.
Just shake it through a silk screen. It goes right through it.
No, I know.
Yes.
I was asking for a friend.
But if you are infusing pre-rolls, then pre-rolls are governed by manufacturing.
Ooh, what are you
what do you mean,
using it
what do you
with?
infuse pre-roll?
Oils from something else, a combination. But the thing about tea,
No, I want flavors.
I'll bring some next meeting so everybody can see.
You know when you buy a pre-roll
of the entire flower,
or not?
and it's particulate. It's very small particulate.
Okay.
And
It's like a big powder.
I think we need to go on a field
Sticky
trip.
powder.
have portions, restrictions and THC content
I get better
restrictions, depending on whether it's medical or adult use, stuff like that. So it's really technical, so it's really important that people who are wanting to do those things are participating. And
Kana.
are we doing, well, there's processing and that's non-manufactured, so.
So do you have someone then for manufacturing?
I guess I'm the guy.
You're it?
Marvin!
Thank you.
Give you comments, you know, it's really going through, you're gonna join that?
Yeah, the culture.
Yeah, I want people to send me.
Okay, so who's on each team?
Yeah, what do we got? So, well, I think that if we have a small enough group now, that I think that everybody could be part of the email chain as long as they religiously stick to the format.
Yes.
Because I think the more input, the better, given the enormity. But that each of the individual leads will have an easier time collating all of that input if, and I have one other suggestion, but I'm not advocating strongly for it, it's just in other groups that I'm working with that are commenting, they're doing this, that is Google Documents. If we set up a Google Doc that everybody is sharing, then you're going to have a lot less individual synthesizing of comments, but again, I don't know if you're comfortable with Google Docs. I have a mixed relationship.
I think they've been faster.
I kind of find them bewildering, but
I think that they had, in their last go-around, when we were doing this, various committees and other groups were sending in their recommendations to the state. I thought that the Google Docs got incredibly confusing because it's each person's entry, but there's no synthesis of it. And I would not recommend repeating that.
Okay. So whatever each of the lead wants to do, they instruct everybody else, but I think that everybody on the state requirements working group email list should get an email from each of the leads saying, if you want to submit input,
We need you to
please
submit.
follow this format. Okay. This is the day I need it from you by, and blah, blah, blah.
I'm so beyond caring what people think. I want to process.
It might be almost good to do one email. Like the whole group, like we are going to be doing a comment letter, we're going to be doing the regulations. These are the contact people for each group.
That's a really good idea.
You know, please submit your comments by this date in this format to the following people.
Yeah.
The regulation, but I think, so if maybe one of you, maybe Hannah or Mo or, you know, any one of you can take charge of sending out the group out, giving them directions on how to comment and who to send which comments to, would probably be good. So they get one, instead of getting 3 emails that are the same but for different.
And you're talking, the group is the state requirements working group. That's the group you're talking.
Should we have this document, everyone needs to get their comments to the main lead by the 10th, so we can organize it all, and
That way.
that you have an extra day to review
Good.
it, and then get it.
Yes, now, I have one other question, though, that is the trickiest question, and that is, obviously, it's easy for the leads to sort out duplication, but there is going to be judgment calls as to whether to do certain things or not. And again, I want to make sure we understand that every single person has the opportunity to send comments separately. This audience currently is to prepare a proposal to the Board of Supervisors.
That you want them to
asking the
accept
board
and approve.
To accept and approve. And again, it might get split up where the board has an official letter where it includes some of the things, and then another letter is sent by the working group. But this is not necessarily your only bite at the apple.
Yeah.
So,
How do we gauge that, though? It's like, I mean,
I think
That's up to
Sarah,
the lead.
integration with Sarah would really be
checking in before
useful.
the 10th?
And I would be fine too if you want to do a powwow, the owner or something on the 10th.
On the 10th.
Or what's that Friday, 11th?
Friday.
Yeah. So have it come by the night.
More on that Monday, so 10th or
The days are
6, 7, 8, 9, it's Friday. 10th is the Friday.
or the 9th.
Gives everybody a
Yeah,
week to get the comments.
Maybe like a,
Everybody should already be on this. I think it should be by the 9th, or by the 10th.
Well,
Give us a week.
we really need it. We want to
maybe like a
tomorrow.
4 p.m.
Would that work for you?
Yeah.
Would that work? Because I think that a conference call on the 10th at 4 p.m., only for the leads and Sarah, and I am willing to participate only if you want me to. I won't.
Can we do it at 4:30?
We want you.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
Cannabis meeting.
So, and not a conference call with the whole working group, because that can unruly, and that way you guys can winnow out. And then you just let me know if you need me involved or not, and I will participate if you want me to. If you don't want me to, I will not.
But you're sending out the initial process.
We'll send out an initial process
You're gonna do
tonight.
Can you send me a link for conference call on the 9th?
I might even sit here and do it after the meeting. Kill it.
Okay, can we move on?
You also need a pre-fit and an immediate pre-fit.
Are we going to mention tasting rooms here?
I think that is,
This is, we were gonna address that here,
yeah.
micro-business.
All right, good.
Or non-solicitation.
Yep, very good. Okay, so next step, Sarah.
Okay, so we have our report to the board, and if you didn't pick it up, it's back there. So I put some just general accomplishments or different things that we've done for the original emergency regulation comments from like a year ago, practically. Identify the list of priorities and prioritize the top 5, identifying areas of state regulation that conflict with county regulation and key areas the county can consider taking action on. Recommendations, coordinate cannabis state regulation response for the board to review on August 21st. Recommend that 4 people from the working groups participate in the ad hoc. And so we can make changes to that or additions to that, and then we need to pick 2 people from this group to present to the board. The board item will be in the afternoon of the 7th, and we're trying to do 15 minutes per working
Tell
group.
them.
So the first one is track and trace with Ron and Marty. The second one is building requirements with Scott and Michael Font. And then Nash and planning a building to get an update on where they are with the overlay process that is currently going on. And then all we have left is picking
So we
our
need 2 people for state requirements.
And thought that what we were doing was we were just gonna defer the
Presentation.
food and, oh, sorry.
The presentation.
We're talking the presentation.
The presentation.
Presentation on Tuesday to the board. That's what you were going to say.
You are correct.
So we need two people
Just do a presentation.
that are going to present to the board on this. And basically what you're going to present is what we've already talked about. You know, that we the recommendations, you know, talk about what we did, everything here that Sarah's already got. Your accomplishments, your recommendations, and anything else you want to add, as long as nobody talks about transferability.
And nobody talks about how the group morphed and then got shut down?
You can do all of that. That's right. If you talk about that,
They want to hear
the
from
board will get turned, you know, I mean, here's what you have to remember. You have to remember that, you know, no matter what you really want to say, you want to be successful in front of the board, right? You want to be impactful. You have a goal when you're sitting there, and you want to achieve that goal. And as much as there's so much that you want to say, don't say it, because you're not going to achieve your goal. You know, this is a board that really thrives on respect. And I mean, honestly, you got to treat them with the due respect that they have as the Honorable Board of Supervisors. So I think as far as what you've done and what we've said, you know, we've laid it out. So who's going to speak from this group?
Bring the baby. Butter him up.
And Mo,
Yeah.
like a baby can sit up there. Might get further if you bring
The dog and the baby.
Baby.
I don't see
Great
what
take on your little dog.
I could prep with the other person through.
Karen. Right, Karen, we need one more person.
Ron, you want to do it again?
Well, we need someone different. Well, Ron, I'd love to have you. You
Stuart?
really got to have somebody
Marvin?
different.
Yeah, no, I
How about
Whatever.
Stuart.
But Stuart, you got to stay on track. Stuart, if you go off track, just like I said to Corinne, if you go off track, you're going to lose them, and you're not going to accomplish what you want to accomplish.
I'm fine if someone else does this.
Stuart, I think you're great. I just think you got, I mean, you know,
I understand completely.
you know,
Be at 1:30 after.
25 years of government.
Yeah, both this one and I think the cannabis update might go before. Just plan on being there for like 2 hours.
Before lunch or before?
Before this one. The cannabis will begin at 1:30 and will probably end around 3:30.
To what,
The column,
Oh, is that the
trying to
seven?
see
So that was my only.
added in a
Oh, right.
change.
Volunteer.
Bad.
Well, I've been keeping the tally. I have it
I'm
going.
going to go with Stuart.
That was Kelly's way.
I think that's what we're doing, unless you guys are going to the BC.
Okay, we're going to go with Stuart and Karen. Karen, you're going to kick him under the table if he goes.
Having second guess.
He's having second thoughts.
I'm only saying, I want you to
Unfortunately, I
succeed.
forgot it was.
Not
I can tell you, I kick staff
Do you
under
want
the table
Marvin
all
to
the
go?
time.
No, I
Marvin?
understand.
So,
You're like, no.
I cannot promise with my
Yeah.
crazy life and evacuation, I can be there Tuesday at that time.
Casey.
I can do stuff over the
Yes.
email, but.
Peter?
Yes.
You just said yes.
Representation.
Yeah, I'll be there on the 7th.
Casey and Stuart.
You're not going to Oakland?
No, I'm going to Oakland.
All right. So Casey and Stuart it is.
And I just wanted to apologize for yelling earlier. I thought I was on mute, and I was, so my apologies for that.
okay, this was good. So, and Sarah will touch base with all of the speakers on Monday to make sure if you any other questions, if there's any new information that we want to share with you.
What are we doing with the farm
And
bureau?
did you say that Tuesday the item was at 1:30?
We'll be near 1:30. The cannabis update will go first, then the working group update. So from 1:30 to 3:30 will be the two cannabis items.
Okay,
So what we
I
thought
just wanted to
about
confirm
was-
that. I can't be there in the morning, so.
About was that the Farm Bureau has been sitting in meetings, but they're really kind of a unique group. They're kind of 1 foot in here and 1 foot out. And so we talked about the Farm Bureau presenting with the group, but separately, but Devin's not here right now.
We're
kind of
had a few conversations,
Have you?
long ones.
Yeah.
We were trying.
Okay, that would be great. I think they're probably going to submit a letter, my guess, before Tuesday, but I don't know if, I'm thinking hopefully that letter will be in support of everything that the working groups have been doing. If you want to give her a call and see, that'd be great, and let us know. She'll talk to you.
No, she'll talk to me, I've talked to her.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, part of the reason is that she's frustrated with the process, and
Well, she is, right, with, that's right. She is. We all are.
I'm glad they finally joined us in our.
If you're not frustrated, you haven't been participating.
That's right.
I think that's it. I'm going to be finalizing all of the reports out from the working groups. Those will push live to the website tomorrow. And then I will follow up with presenters on Monday and send you a reminder email that you're presenting, what time the item's going to be coming up, and what the order will be for presentation.
And one thing I'm going to ask the chair, so Track and Trace will go first, is that if we can get comment after each presentation rather than waiting for the whole thing.
And not being able to have further dialogue.
Yeah.
The only thing by doing that is you may be cutting short the next group.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want you to do that.
All right.
Right? So basically, they will do what they want to do. And even if you set it up one way or the other, they're still going to do what they want to do. Okay? So, but we don't want to cut any one group short. So let's put it at that. Okay. And I really want this presentation to go well because you all have done hard work. There are times that your work has not been really recognized, and on behalf of Mendocino County, I'm sorry about that. I really believe that this is an industry that we need to support for lots of various reasons. So this is an opportunity, really, to get in front of them and to get in front of the public and really show the work you've done and how reasonable, this industry is. And so I think that's important. I have signs that I use when people are giving presentations. I really tried to work with the people that are sitting at the table or at the dais, because particularly when I support a particular presentation, when I do this, that's a really good sign. That means keep going, okay? That means you've got their attention, you've got a good point, keep going. Right. Remember that, don't you? Yeah. And when I do this, that means you stink, please. So if you start...
I didn't know that.
So what about this? That just means I'm really listening to you. But, the point is that I know you can lose the board's attention so quickly. You can lose it in the 3 minutes that you get up there. So you don't want to do that in a 15-minute presentation. So you really want to, the thing with the board when you get up there is you really want to have like 3 key points, and that's it. You want to pound on those 3 key points. Remember, they're sitting there. Sometimes we're sitting there all day. There's no lunch break. Just because you all get a lunch break doesn't mean we do. We're in closed session. So they go and they go and they go. And so by 1:30 in the afternoon, sometimes they are so inundated they can't take on anymore, which is why I rudely said to Stuart, you got to stay on track. But the point is that you have a job to do. I mean, you're all going to be sitting up there. You are representing the industry in Mendocino County. So give it your best shot, and try to stay on target, try to be succinct, and repeat yourself when you have a real key issue that you want to get through to them. And be respectful when they ask you questions, which you all are, really, most of you, not everyone, but most of you. And so, well, that's me too. Sometimes I'm not respectful up there. Sometimes I get really, you've seen that. You're kidding.
I've seen it aimed at me.
We all are.
I got happy. Here he comes again. So anyway, so Sarah will call you on Monday. If you have any questions at all, feel free to call Sarah. You can also get a hold of me. I am more than willing to assist you with getting your presentation together.
Go There's two of us, right? So the scope.
Yeah, it's you and Casey. Yep.
And so the scope of what we're talking about is all the things up there.
Wow.
Right, right, and so
You'll be
so those
reporting
of
out.
you, so like you and Casey are gonna wanna talk before Tuesday. Scott and Mike, I think, pretty much have been
They
working
map.
together, they've got it. So Ron, I think you and Marty, I don't know what you've been doing.
Yeah.
And Nash is gonna talk about, overlay, so,
Interesting.
yeah.
Who's going to talk on overlay?
Nash Gonzalez, the planning
Give
director.
it an update, there's, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, the board really does want to see the work of the working groups, you know, so I think, you know, they will be very receptive. It's just a matter of what you can get from them, and I think the united front, as far as the recommendation about having someone from the working groups, more than one person from the working groups in the ad hoc is really good, so, you know, we'll just keep moving forward. Corinne?
Is it my interpretation of what we've all said that this working group too will be disbanded after this presentation?
I don't know.
No, not in the recommendation, just the building one closing. And then the track and trace is taking a 2-month hiatus to open up time to pretty much launch a new working group.
And what about the overlay? Because I know there's been interdiscussion.
So the overlay is a whole separate beast that's being managed by planning and building and the consultant.
And the working groups may be done with
I think,
overlay.
and the plan is to kind of close that one out when this whole process is over. They did the working group meeting, they just did all of the community meetings, and I believe they're taking all the input from the community meetings to develop
Now for the implementation of
the ordinance. And then that ordinance has to go to the planning commission, and then from the planning commission.
So
In 5 minutes.
are the opt-out people happy with the process?
I have no idea.
Okay.
So I honestly don't know anything about what happened last.
No,
What's the question?
I had a,
If they opt out?
One was in like a community center in Casper, one was at the library in Covelo,
Yeah.
one was at the garden club in Laytonville, so they weren't like,
I was at two of them. I can,
Okay, getting caught up, yeah.
actually, the opt-out one went really well, I think. Mark was there as well as myself, and just a heads up is that a lot of the people there weren't aware of what the ordinance was. They had fears of water use, and they didn't know we had such tight water use, pesticides, live scan, that even the grow was based on the size of your parcel. So I think we, as a community, did a lot of outreach, and we're successful in talking to a lot of people.
Concerns were based on old behaviors, not where.
Black market.
It would be headed.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, just a lack of awareness of the requirements. I was also there, I went to all of them, and every single one except Covelo, I think, there was a series of questions about requirements, and I gave them the correct information.
Is the state pilot program on our next steps, what we've already discussed about the ag pilot program, or is that something different?
what do you mean?
The state pilot,
That was it.
I think, is the...
That's the contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the contract, our contract with the state. They call it a pilot program because it's just launched. It hasn't gone out to all counties, though all counties aren't regulating it, or, yeah.
Actually, I think Sonoma County they're working pretty well with it, with the pilot,
And Humboldt.
really talking about how it was a teaching moment, that they're there to educate, not a threatening process. I heard Sonoma County's Andrew Smith give a presentation on how it's going down there, and it's going pretty smooth down there. Haven't a lot, but it's we're out to get you type program.
Okay, on that note, I'm gonna
If you wait about 2 seconds, I'm going to read you all the email that I've been writing to the whole group. I'm mostly done. Do you mind waiting for 2 minutes?
I have, well, maybe a thing or two, I wouldn't mind. So I realized after getting here, this wasn't the meeting to just kick this off, but I have sent all of y'all, and I have copies of a proposed, on-site construction model for us to consider, and that's following Oakland with revisions that I think would better fit Mendocino County. So I have sent that to the email thread as well as I have some
Wouldn't that go
copies here.
ad hoc?
And then the other thing is, I know last time I was here, I said, why don't we have a business plan? So I have been doing research on seeing if any other areas have business plans or economic development plans, and I've literally only found Arcata and Oakland. And so I think that we should really take that as a challenge by our county
Yeah.
to inform us.
So Karen, the consumption thing, I think Ron talked about that going to the ad hoc. You might want to send that to the ad hoc.
Mm-hmm.
And regarding the business plan, we do have Mary Ann Petrillo with West Company, who's been working with us on cannabis business model, so you might want to call her.
I'd love to.
Talk to
I
her.
think she has the insight that I have from 28 years of participating in. I really feel, I'd like to share this insight with you.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
So Mary Ann?
Mary Ann Petrillo, Petrillo. She's great at marketing and branding.
And you feel like she's been putting an eye on a business?
I think she's been doing pretty good for us, yeah.
Did she make,
How do we know what she's
she
doing?
presented at the first one?
How do we know her work process so far?
Why don't you just call her? Well, yeah, Mendocino Mistake, that's right,
Well, I
yeah.
was on a marketing meeting, and then that got changed, and then trying to hunt down what the heck was that, just maybe we're going to go start my own group. But
I was gonna also,
I'm sorry, I have to go return a call. I'm gonna go, you guys can continue.
there's also what you might be noticing. So one of the things I've noticed, people who are working on the economic development plan specific to cannabis
Okay, need to do,
are, like, Sonoma County has a new position that just opened up for economic development, but it's not in ag, and it's not in planning, it's in human resources. So the source of where you're looking might also, you know what I mean? Because it's hard to, like, figure it out sometimes depending on where you're looking. But they just posted that position, and it's cannabis, but it's not in ag or planning, which is, it's in human resources.
Well, that's very good, so that's good, I guess. Okay.
Okay, I'm ready if I can read this.
But I am just curious, how do we follow up on finding out what Mary Ann's been doing for the county? Because I keep running into her name. I'll call her, but I've never only wanted to have access for myself. I've always wanted everybody to have access.
But do we actually have a contract for her to create some development plan specifically for the county? Or is she working on a number of things for us?
A number of things.
Yeah.
This is included in it.
Is there a way to get contracts so I can have some insight on what to ask for questions about?
You can request it through records.
I saw her presentation.
Yes, but I'm going to be real, probably not going to happen the next 2 to 3 weeks. Because her contract runs yearly, so it expired in June, and so they up the contract, and then it gets executed, and then I got to go find the contract. But you could call our office, that'd be a better idea. Call our office and talk to Kimber. She manages our contracts. She can get you a copy.
So I just wanted to say that I attended the one marketing meeting that we had, and she did a presentation, and there was comments, pros and cons to it, and I've been involved with the county marketing, used to be chairman of our county tourism board, and I do feel there's one with MCPA, and that I do think that we should involve VMC, the marketing organization that we already have, and try to work also with that.
I think that's the goal, is to transition it not as a working group. We want it to be marketing and branding as a county-wide effort with the different organizations that are around that, and so we can focus on getting this other stuff done that we need to get done.
What I'm trying to say, though, is that West Company, VC, and the people involved there, and connect with
And the
not
idea
just
too
West
was
Company.
that Mary Ann Petrillo would represent the county because she's our contractor and specializes in that. So that the county would participate in that county-wide effort, and she'd be our contact between there because she has the expertise.
I just want to offer that I was general counsel of a large nonprofit organization in the Bay Area and my job was, I was in charge of not only compliance, but the liaison between the cities, the local NGOs, the state, and the feds for all workforce development. So I have a lot of experience in that arena and economic development and workforce development. So to the extent that any, issues bubble up or some committee or whatever is formed or whatever, please feel free to include me or ask me to participate. I just want to read this to everybody, is that okay? Okay, so the subject is state requirements working group process for proposing comments to BOS for letter from county to state. Today, the working group came up with the following process for the working group members to quickly coalesce so we can present recommendations to the BOS on 8/21, asking the county to send a letter to the state agencies that are proposing regular, non-emergency regulations. The state comment period ends on 8/27. In order for the BOS to have time to review and approve or not approve the working group recommendations, we must move quickly and in accordance with the following deadlines and processes. 1, we will have a lead person for each agency's regulation. A, CBFA, Mo Marie. B, BCC, Karen Byers. C, CDPH, Marvin Levin. 2, send your specific comments in the format stated below to each lead person. See this email list for their email addresses. No later than 8:10 at noon. A, state the specific regulation number. B, state the problem or concern succinctly. C, state the proposed solution and proposed language change. The 3 leads and Sarah Duquette will have a conference call on Friday, 8/10 at 4:30 to synthesize and refine the issues. Please remember that every person has and should submit comments directly to each agency and AOL, Office of Administrative Law, and that this comment letter is meant to propose what the county should consider to include in its comment letter. Thank you for your efforts. This is really important. This is our chance to impact state regs that will be in place for a long time.
Excellent.
Good job.
I know it.
On your phone.
She can type with both thumbs, you know? I can do that.
I don't know what I think you're E-Y-E-R or A-R? A. Okay, I have A-R-S.
I think we're done.
Okay, I'm sending.
Hey, thank you.
Long day.